Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is the Daily Medicine Transmission for April 20th, 2021. It's 4:20, whatever that means to you. It means that the sun is in Taurus. That's what it means. And we had our first quarter square of the sun and moon, our crisis in action. What, in fact, are we going to do with these energies? So we have our moon now in Leo, squaring the sun almost immediately after it came into Leo at 0 degrees Leo, 0 degrees Taurus of the sun, and has also been squaring all of the Taurus energy, these fixed squares that we talked about yesterday. So we're going to look at the tension that's created as we may emotionally and subconsciously start to feel the rise of our kundalini, of the blood rushing to our head, pumping through our system, our heart really starting to engage, at least on an emotional level, on an intuitive level, as the moon has now moved from her home sign of Cancer into Leo, but squaring all of this Taurus energy, pulling us really into a totally different state of being when it comes to the natural fulfillment and the organic cultivation of our consciousness based on a healthy medium of growth. And it's important to realize that when the Kundalini does rise, when that solar power that is our creative self-expression is being fully realized, it is connected to the health and wellness of the vessel in which it is rising. And if it is not moving through a healthy vessel, our manifestation is going to reflect that. So we also have asteroid Vesta stationing direct today on fixed star Alpha Draconis. And we've talked about this many times, but now that Vesta is moving direct, again, we are going to really start to condition ourselves in our ability to hold this serpent energy. It is so, the serpent and the snake are so connected to just about every cultural perspective in the human history that we have so far, that we understand so far. And to be afraid of it or to completely ignore it would be very foolish. But it's also to understand how absolutely powerful the draconian aspect is. And this is where the Draco starseeds are really meant to step forward and show us what is possible with this energy of incredible power and healing potential when it is within a pure and healthy vessel. And this is what Taurus represents. It is the medium of our growth. And now that the sun and Mercury and Venus are all here, Uranus is here, it's really pulling our attention into the medium. Whereas the new moon in Aries and all of the energy leading up to this point was very focused on and swirling around the potential and the desire to actualize. And now it is time to embed ourselves in the medium and the sacred feminine that it represents. It's important that the vessel is healthy, that the vessel is pure, that the soil holds everything that the life form is going to need. Because the solar power of the sun really doesn't have much impact on the growth of life or consciousness if there isn't a healthy vessel in which life can grow. So this first quarter square has really tested this emotional compulsion in some ways and this drive to allow the Kundalini to move through us and the really powerful, passionate energy. And we're going to see in today's intuitive reading that we are certainly going to, again, a lot of the challenge seems to be in the realm of our mind and our thought forms and how that influences our decisions and our actions. And with Mars coming into the last degrees of Gemini, meeting with Polaris, meeting with Betelgeuse, there is a guiding light for the warrior within us in terms of making use of this energy of Gemini, because when Mars comes into Cancer and really establishes its root system and makes a decision of where it belongs, it starts to lose its power. So we are still working with the Mars energy, and the warrior within is still in a place where it can start to really understand and come into serious power in terms of consciousness. And like I said, Mars is in its fall position. It is not very powerful in Cancer. It's way more powerful and exalted in Capricorn in its opposition. So be prepared as we are moving through this time that will be losing power when it comes to this activating Mars energy, the warrior within. And it's okay. It's okay that that is happening. You know, we want to consolidate. We'll want to protect what is close to us. We will want to make sure that our land and the vessel that we inhabit is pure and that is protected and has structural integrity in the relationships. And we're going to see this also reflected in today's intuitive message. So let's look at the chart today. I can feel so much how we are, getting pulled back in and being led to focus very deeply on the stillness and our healing potential. We learned a lot over the weekend. A lot of stuff came to the surface. A lot of creative imagination allowed us to re-examine, our potency and where it's coming from, and find new opportunities through our creative imagination. So we are kind of bumping back up against some of these aspects, even in a more heavy way, so that we can really, now that we see them for what they are, we see the potential that we can create from our own inner fulfillment, as the new moon had led us to intend. Now we are addressing the aspect of like I said, the healthy medium. And there's a lot of support for this today with all of the Taurus energy of the Sun and Mercury and Venus in her home sign of Taurus, and as well as Uranus. And with Vesta moving direct today, stationing direct, the goddess of the hearth flame, the fire that sustains the community and is the centerpiece of the community life, the communal life. It is the eternal flame that she represents. Venus actually was in a trine to Vesta very early this morning before she went, before Vesta stationed direct. And again, if we can let go of the past, right? The old traditions being obsolete, and Pluto is making this, pretty obvious to us. If we can allow that to unfold very naturally, let go of the past, be able to almost liquidate the past within our own consciousness as well, then we are much more capable of handling what is kind of a waiting period. And that waiting period is where people really can falter, and they can be, how do I say this? This is when you are waiting for something, when you're in this pattern of stillness, and emptiness almost. This is where we try to fill that space with ways to feel like we are in control, when in fact the best thing to do in that situation is in fact to let go of the need to be in control and embrace the waiting. And so Vesta, asteroid Vesta in this position today, and also in a conjunction with Draconis, now going direct, is going to stimulate our discipline and our purification process, and really getting down to it within ourselves, and getting us to a stage where we can embody and hold that space of waiting, because that that is what is required in order for things to grow organically. This is not about being apathetic necessarily. This is about creating the right vessel, a healthy vessel in which something divine and sacred can grow. Our passion is sacred, but only when we hold a space in which it can fully develop, and it can fill to its highest. So, but that does require leaving behind all of these old things, and this is why it's going to come up again. And it came up with this first quarter square. Now we're officially in the second lunar quarter. We're leading up now to the full moon that's going to be in Scorpio. So we're going to also have a very deep and intense experience, emotional and subconscious experience that will serve to disrupt the stillness that we are learning to work with right now. And we will, when the more that we can embody that stillness and allow it to be, the deeper we can see into the truth of who we are and the potential that we have together. But again, it does require this focus on the medium more than anything else. So let's look at the chart here for today. Where did you go? Hold on one second. There we go. So this is today's chart. This is 4/20, the 20th of April, and look at here. We're going to look at this chart, and as I said, we have all of the square energy to all of the Taurus stuff. The other thing that's going to be happening today is the moon will then be in a trine to Chiron at the same time that it is squaring Uranus. So this is a very deep, vulnerable point here that we can access while we are also experiencing, I would say, a struggle to get ourselves grounded in some ways. The power of tradition shelters the beginning of individual self-expression. You know, we can swing around on this big oak tree because it's this oak tree that allows us to be rooted onto something, and our consciousness is swinging back and forth. It's very playful. It's very childlike. But in a square to Uranus, again, the woman watering the flowers, this is way more on the pathway to our awakening. And the tradition, as much as we can value it with Capricorn, we're going to see this today. There are so many aspects about it that need to be let go of. And when we do that, it doesn't, when that tree is not available anymore for our youthful consciousness to swing around on, then what? What do we do? Well, again, this vulnerability here that the moon is going to make in a trine to Chiron at the same time. It's going to touch a part of ourselves that's going to show how vulnerable we are when we don't have that tradition to hang ourselves onto, that we can anchor ourselves onto. And again, it actually provides the square, for as uncomfortable as it's going to be, it provides some measure of learning and growth about how to take care of our own consciousness, how to cultivate our own blossoming of our nature. Uranus rules Aquarius, which is the opposition to Leo. And so there is some supreme discomfort with this vulnerability, but at the same time, where Chiron is in Aries, it is challenging our ability to utilize the ego consciousness, at least a centralizing power, to acknowledge that we exist and that we exist just because we are part of divine creation, and that in itself is okay. We have to start there. And Aries was the new moon, and so we are working still with that energy of self-actualization and the ego consciousness from a very pure perspective. What else is going on today is that when the moon then comes around to meet Uranus, as I said, and we'll backtrack just a little bit. I just want to show here. Right after that happens, the moon is then going to come into a sextile with the North Node. It'll trine the North Node, and let's actually look at it here, because this is coming into tomorrow when the moon is in an exact, make sure this is where it needs to be, is going to be in exact opposition to Saturn as well. So you can see the mystic rectangle right here. What you don't see pictured is the opposition between the nodes that always exists. So there is this mystic rectangle right here, these two oppositions, the moon in an opposition to Saturn in Aquarius, and then the nodes always in opposition. So this rectangle portion on the outside is where we find a release in the tension of the oppositions. And again, the moon in Leo, this is asking us, before this happens, hold on one second here. Before this happens, is in this sextile to the north node, is in a trine to, so if we don't do anything, the moon in a trine to the south node in Sagittarius, which is about bringing our most noble ideals forward. And that doesn't really fit. I mean, it will fit with where the moon is going to be in Leo, which is like, just sit back and relax and everybody can come to this party, right? Where we allow a relaxation, where we allow ourselves to have some leisure time and not really be too concerned with the status of all the people involved or the organization of it. But, Leo is very youthful and playful and romantic and passionate. And so part of that is, learning just how to party and not in a really intense way, just relaxing, having a lawn party, people just congregating. And so when you think about it as the structure of our individual consciousness, we can invest this energy into, and vice versa, invest the energy of the north node of the moon into this position, which is totally liquidating the past. How are we going to come together into this perspective of just engaging in a very relaxed and leisurely type of energy without letting go of all of the stuff that we don't need anymore, the parts of our past, the parts of our consciousness in the past that need to be let go of. This is also going to be really strongly reflected as we back up today, actually, with Venus in Taurus as well. When the moon is in a square to Venus, she is also going to be in conjunction with a few fixed stars, and we're going to look at that as well. So when we see Venus in a square to the moon, the moon is going to really be pulling us into this ideological attempt to, and emotional specifically with the moon, to return to a state of non-differentiation, right? And chaos, because it's a prelude to a new type of order, right? This Leo aspect does in some ways, the passion and the lust that moves up through the vertical axis of our power is really does try to return us to non-differentiation in some ways. But the square to Venus showing us that we can use our imagination, we can use our knowledge of the natural world, we can use our direct connection, especially with Venus, how sensitive she is to the natural world. We can plug into that sensitivity of Venus and be able to anticipate and prepare for expectable conditions, because the cycle of nature is in fact observable and predictable if we just pay attention. Now, she is in a conjunction at this point with when she is in a square to the moon. She is in a conjunction with a couple different fixed stars. So let's look at that. Number one, fixed star Hamal, right in the head of the ram, the constellation of Aries. This really is bringing about a very headstrong and aggressive capacity, but it's also related to very capable leaders. We're talking about Aries. We're talking about the home constellation and energy of Mars, and a protector. So a leader and protector of the community, which are all qualities of Aries and the ram. And so Venus is conjunct this star, along with in a conjunction to, here is Hamal right here, also in a conjunction to fixed star Shadir. This is over the left breast of Cassiopeia. She is the queen, Ethiopian queen. She's also the mother the mother of Andromeda. We've been talking about Andromeda, the chained woman. So there is a really strong energy of this queen that Venus is also going to make a connection with at the same time in a square to this Leo moon. Anybody with this star strong in their chart, for instance, has great qualities to rule over others. So again, capable leadership, protector, this queen that's ruling, but you have to be very mindful not to let it go to your head, right? That's something that is worth considering, especially when we have a first quarter square of the sun and the moon, and the degree of the moon at that time is about blood rushing to the head. So that's also something to consider as we engage with the energy of today, that Venus is has a very headstrong and very regal and very capable connection to leadership today when she's in square with the moon in Leo. And so she's also being very strong and firm, and also a very capable of being sensitive to what it is that the vessel and the medium of our growth. And as much as the moon in Leo is we are emotionally holding the rise of this Kundalini, Venus is just like, this has to be a strong vessel. It has to be, we have to know exactly who we are. We have to know, we have to reinforce the vessel for this Kundalini to rise within us, because when we don't, then the serpent energy is not of its highest. And again, this is where the Draco seeds, star seeds come into effect, especially because Vesta is in conjunction with Alpha Draconis, going direct today, in a trine to Venus, actually. So she is supporting us in this process, giving us this reinforced, this very regal leadership quality, the very strong and capable vessel, physical vessel in which this energy rises. And we're going to see the passion that can move through us if we have a strong reinforced boundary in order to hold it. And this is why it's so important to talk about this, because if not, we could easily succumb to all of the negative aspects of our animal nature and our lust. And we're going to see here in just a moment that here's Cassiopeia, like I said, right here, right on the left breast, right? What's on the left side in that area? It's the heart, right? Again, the Leo energy. So it's here, and Venus is, again, making sure that we are being very responsible and sensitive, and providing a very strong vessel for this energy to move through us. And this square is going to, the first quarter square, it's going to resonate throughout the entire second quarter of this lunar cycle, leading to the full moon. So it's this first moment here with this square, we're really going to feel it, and a vulnerability with the trine to Chiron, about letting go of the past, letting go of the traditions that maybe have been holding us this whole time, but are not really appropriate anymore. If we want to grow, we have to actually let go in order to grow into the future. So let's look at the reading today. Where are we here? And hello. I'm going to move over here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to look at today's reading. Okay, so we have the devil as our causal factor, the Capricornian energy. We have lust and passion as the heart of things. So really this moon in Leo is very strong with us today. We also have this very dynamic energy that we have access to within our vertical axis of power, the King of Forces, Archangel Michael at the top of our awareness. But we're with all of this really powerful, strong energy, this channel of divine power that Archangel Michael represents. Ultimately, we are looking at a moment here where we're really going to be fighting with our own mind, right? We're going to be really struggling, I think, to if, and this is just part of the process, sometimes we just have to have this type of struggle in order to really figure out who we are and where we stand and what our position is. And we have to, if we want to reorient ourselves mentally and consciously, there's going to be some conflict here, and we're going to need to really rely on those that we trust and that hold us and support us and get ourselves into balance. So let's talk about this all one piece at a time. Man, you know what I forgot to do? I'm wondering how people are feeling, because I'm definitely feeling out of it in terms of now things are starting to really settle in and take a lot of energy to do this healing process and to readdress the things that we identified on some level that we had to let go of, and now we're really feeling it in our bodies and we're very sensitive to it. One thing I forgot to do is to thank my subscribers and my supporters on Subscribestar. You truly are the lifeblood of this channel. I'm going to start posting the Daily Medicine to Subscribestar as a public offering as well. So if you're going there, you can also find it there. It's just going to be embedded in my profile from the YouTube video. But and if you're new to this channel, welcome. It's so great to have you here. Remember, whenever you interact with content, either on BitChute or YouTube in any way, you like the content, you subscribe to the channel, you comment, you share, that all supports the work as well. It reinforces to the AI algorithm that this content is worth expanding out to a larger audience. So any way that you want to interact is always really helpful as well. Okay, now, so thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. So let's look at all of this one piece at a time, shall we? Number one, the devil. We've talked about this many times, the Capricornian energy, the matrix of reality unfolding, the engine of nature, as it were, according to or the machinery of nature, as coined by Carl Sagan. And you see here, this is two sex cells in meiosis. That is the name of the process when sex cells separate and become their own differentiated cells, and these beings trapped inside. This is being trapped in the third dimensional matrix, and Capricorn is the unfolding of nature. And so you can see that the goat has the third eye open. It's got this like smirk on its face, and it's very phallic and very sexual, right? You can see that this is very phallic. It also has this ring here that does designate that there is an interaction with the feminine and the masculine, because Capricorn is cardinal earth. So it has a feminine signature. It is got momentum, but it is the unfolding of the natural process, which is very feminine. It's not acting out, even though it has momentum, just like Cancer as a cardinal water. It's not acting and expressing out necessarily, but there's momentum behind the energy of creation, of unfoldment, of connection. And so this is, and the reason this is the devil is, you can interpret it however you want. I'm going to interpret it in this way. This is the dark side of Saturn. This is being trapped in the matrix. This is the, and this right here does give us at least some idea that there is more beyond just this material karmic cycle, but this is also very divine in it itself. But when we do not look past this and then we become trapped, the devil is the idea that we believe that there is nothing beyond this, that we worship this, and we worship the material unfoldment. And it's not to say that there isn't sacredness to this. Of course there is, but there is more beyond it. There's Aquarius and Pisces. These are aspects that are not, they're very much real, but outside of the third dimensional aspect. And this is part of our transcendental experience. This is part of awakening to the idea and the reality that there is more than this. So this is our causal factor, is this devil card. So the sacred matrix does require a recognition of the polarity elements that is the machinery of nature, the duality of masculine and feminine coming together, creating the matrix that we live in, right? The unfolding of the sacred geometry. But still, there is a sense that this is a trap if you don't see beyond this, if you think this is all there is. And then we come into the current moment of lust. So you have these two major trump cards coming into the moment here. Number 11, lust, passion, our animal nature, the kundalini rising. You can see the woman pushing that seed up through the surface. You can see all of the serpents on the outside, like convening around here as well. The serpent energy, you can see the beast with many heads, and she's in total control as well. She's got it by the reins. And so this feminine energy as well is able to really hold this and allow it to be a sacred release of this energy. And it's very healing, and it is the rise of the kundalini, hence all the snakes here. And this comes about it's the most expressed through the act of sacred sexuality, which the Pleiadian starseeds are very aware of. This is a big part of them. Is the physical manifestation. Sexuality is a physical manifestation of unconditional love. And it is through this act of sacred sexuality that we are expressing this part of ourselves. The lust is the release of the kundalini from the sacral chakra. And it comes about, we experience it the most readily. It's not the only way, but this is the heart. And we have the moon in Leo. So really at the heart of each of us today, we are feeling this passion, this lust, the blood is moving, the heart is pumping. We want to express ourselves, right? We want to fully express ourselves, the I am that I am, the solar rebirth of our individual, but also creative expression. Now, at the root here, the King of Forces, this is an individual that is has the power of nature all around. So we want to be rooted in this place energetically today, getting connected right into the force of nature, right? Again, you see this Capricornian energy that is part of this, but the King of Forces is the Wand's energy. It's much more connected here to this lust energy, the passion, the energy that is pervasive through all of nature. It's powerful, it's positive, it is calm. You can see it's calm. You have the wolf, you have all these natural elements involved that are also have a calm demeanor. There's a calming influence despite having direct connection. So if we can allow ourselves to embody this energy as us, and this could also represent someone in your life who holds this, an actual man or somebody that holds this frequency as well that we can embody. But it's important that we hold this in our root, right? That we are connected not just to our own expression, right? The Leo energy can be very conceited and narcissistic if it is not connected deeply to natural, the wider natural energy. And so there's good intentions here. There's honesty. There is powerful and positive energy. There's calming influence. You see that the violet nebula above. And so we want to root ourselves in as this person, in this influence, connecting to that earth star chakra. Really, this is where our power is really going to come from, is connecting directly to the earthbound energies. Now, where is our conscious awareness as it moves up through us and the heart of us, literally our heart as the pump of our blood, that Leo energy moving up? And in our conscious awareness, here's Archangel Michael with the flaming heart, as well, helping the children, lifting up the children. This is a channel of divine power that we have access to, a cycle of increasing power. Ooh, we can feel it with this moon. Oh my gosh, and feeling our courage growing. The moon in Leo is helping that, knowing what action to take, what action not to take, what to take next. This is all part of our conscious awareness, and also feeling, not only accessing this energy, but also being the channel for this courageous warrior energy to come in with the passion and lust of the Leo energy at the heart of us today. But this, again, there's a lot of masculine energy that it wants to move through us. There is a channel that we can hold that is divine power, but it does require that we have a very healthy vessel in which to do it. Now, regardless of what happens, this Prince of Swords reversed, really, I mean, already, if you look at it upright, I mean, you have the Prince, the Chariot of the Winds, has little versions of himself pulling his chariot. I mean, this, there is pure manifestation of mind and intellect here, but it can go all over the place, and it is very immature and not grounded at all, not emotional at all. It is the wind of the wind, the air of the air. And so we can be full of plans, and so full of plans that it can disturb and confuse each other. All these plans bounce off each other. And when it is reversed like this, the potential for us to be very unreliable, unstable, a master of disguise, for instance. Now that is interesting because Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategy, is at a degree in Pisces, which is about the cleverness and the cunning and the the protection of our energy with our intellect as well. That's another aspect of this. But when it's reversed, it's not very well, it's not very balanced already. And when it's reversed, it can lead us to be cheaters or a master of disguise. We want to master that energy. But what it really feels like here is that all of this really intense solar energy, being a channel of divine power, ultimately is going to lead us to a place where we're going to have a lot of conflict within ourselves about our mental state, our mental capacity, all the plans that we have. We're going to start, we're going to have this fight with each other. And I feel like this is coming about as a result of, where all of this square energy is, and this vulnerability, again, with the moon in a trine to Chiron. We're gonna have a very tender moment of vulnerability with our ability to centralize our ego, and how we rely on tradition so much. And we may find that we have to let go of what we've been anchored into, and this is going to cause this real struggle within our mind. And that's just something that we have to, that we can just accept. And if we know that that's coming, then we can use that appropriately to learn something. Now, when it comes to this guidance, there's some good guidance for today. Number one, the one of forces, the Akashic field. When we're talking about the king of forces, this is the field that the king is connected to. And so everything, all potential, all power, all experiences are part of this field. They vibrate within this field of potential. And the life force that resonates with the universe, and our life force can resonate with the universe, just like the king of forces, direct connection to this. This is what the king is able to hold, is a direct connection. There's a lot of royalness and regalness today, especially with Venus or the moon. No, Venus in a conjunction to the breast of Cassiopeia, the head of the ram. There is a lot of, there's a lot of regalness and sovereignty and capable leadership that is part of this chart today, and also this energy about connecting. We have to connect right into this field, and when we do that, the universe is ready to align to us. Now, the meerkat, as our animal guidance, this says get support from a trusted group of like-minded friends. And it's really about the community and the support. And we don't have to necessarily rely exclusively on ourselves all the time, because when we come together, this is where resilience is built and communication, and we can conserve our energy as well. And so don't try to do it all alone necessarily, and realize that our real power comes in our cooperation and our community support as well. And so if you're struggling, I think that this is a reminder to plug into those communities that you trust and that are supportive, and to also be on the other end to support people as well, and to be willing to offer that support or be there to hold space for people, so that we can all connect directly into this field of potential, because this is where manifestation comes from. It's not going to come from outside of us, and it's not come from us fighting. We have to create the resonance within us in order to have it reflected back to us. And we can't do that without a really healthy, pure vessel. And this is what we're going to be working with right now. When it comes to Archangel Michael, the cardinal says the polarities of your spiritual pursuits and physical pleasures are out of balance. I would say, along with Four of Keys, which is reversed, the way has already been cleared, right? When it's reversed, it's saying that we've already done the work to get this obstacle out of the way, and it's being cleared or has been cleared. And the cardinal is really letting us know that, if it's not quite cleared yet and we're still working on it, it's because we have to get ourselves into balance between the physical and spiritual. If we do not, if it's only strictly on the physical pleasures and not considering our spiritual, relationship and our energetic resonance, then we also can't be a divine channel, a channel of divine power. Likewise, if we are not engaging with the physical aspect, this Four of Keys clearing the way, if we are not engaging with the material reality, which is very much part of, we cannot step away from what the devil represents, and the dark side of Saturn, and Saturn in general. We can't step away from it as much as we want to. We're going to feel this really strongly when the moon comes into an opposition very late tonight into tomorrow morning with Saturn. The moon in Leo is going to oppose Saturn in Aquarius and then create that mystic rectangle with the nodes as well. And so there's also this karmic element that's part of it. If we are completely spiritual and not dealing with the material matrix of reality, we also are not going to be able to physically make our bodies a channel. So the way is being cleared, but it's also we have to make sure that we are in balance while that is happening, because in order to channel divine power at its highest, right, in order to be a divine channel for our lust and passion, we have to be rooted into the very Akashic field, and we also have to make sure that the way is totally cleared. And if there's stuff that's residual that we got to work with, so be it, right? The way is being cleared, but we still have to acknowledge here that there's tradition that may need to go away and be overhauled, that there are aspects of the old reality that are still functioning and need to be addressed and cleared away. And this will be, the moon in a sextile to the North Node today, which is very much about a complete liquidation of our past through our consciousness. We can invest that energy, that karmic energy of where we are going into, and vice versa, this energy with the moon in Leo that is inviting us to just play and to find enjoyment in ourselves and our lives, and that we can become a sacred vessel for just a really beautiful energy of romance and play and passion. But we have to make sure that our vessel and the way that we are interacting with tradition is not holding us back. And we talked about this yesterday, right? The initiation and the Count of Saint Germain, and how much that is these lower vibe aspects hold us back from ascending into the highest version of ourselves when we're still working with outdated low vibe stuff. And it's just, take the time to address these things, and don't get too spiritual, because you have to focus on physical reality, your body, the matrix of your world around you. But you also can't deny your spiritual progression, because you can't be a channel for your divine and sacred passion. You can't be a channel of divine power and courage if you don't address the spiritual nature as well. So I invite you to just take some time today and to accept to a certain extent that there's going to be some a little bit of struggle as we move from Capricorn to Aquarius, which is what the Prince of Wands or Prince of Swords really represents, that transition point from Capricorn to Aquarius. Aquarius being, you know, the connection to the cosmic coherence through our activated third eye. So that's a transmission today for April 20th, 2021. If you're interested in reading or energy work to support your process, you can go to catalystenergies.net and book a service through the website. You just go under the services tab. If you are finding me on Subscribestar or you're interested in supporting this work, you can go to the link in the description box below for Subscribestar and become a supporter, and it would be so appreciated, especially with the astrology work. It does take, as any of you who do astrology and follow it, you know how much it's a language and it's an art form as well. So it does take a lot of work and focus in order to be a masterful reader. So having those supporters really helps. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy the vessel, right? Enjoy the cultivation of the vessel. Know that what you're doing is allowing for that sacred solar energy of Leo to have a pure place in order to express itself. And then we can access this channel of divine courage and power that we are going to need moving forward as we are facing the destruction of the old guard and what it actually represents, and moving into a new phase of humanity. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you tomorrow for the